There are moments that change everything. Moments so public, so irreversible, that even silence can't undo them. This was one of those moments. The cameras were already rolling when she stood up. Crystal glasses chimed. A string quartet softened the air. Executives in tailored suits leaned into polite laughter. The launch party for Orex Systems, Africa's fastest rising enterprise software firm, was meant to be flawless. Instead, it became a spectacle. She tapped the microphone once. Twice. The room hushed. And then she smiled. Not the warm smile of celebration, but the kind that signals intent. Ladies and gentlemen, she said, voice clear and practiced, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Lydia Cohn. Applause followed. She let it rise. She let it fall. And tonight, she continued, turning slightly, eyes locking onto a man near the back. I want to expose a fraud. The camera found him instantly. Daniel Kolu. He stood still. Hands relaxed at his sides. Expression unreadable. The room shifted. Lydia's voice sharpened. This man, she said, pointing, has spent the last 3 years riding on my name, my network, my work, pretending to be something he's not. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Daniel didn't move. He claimed to be a consultant, Lydia continued, pacing slowly. A strategist. A silent partner. She laughed once, short and cruel. Truth is, he's unemployed. Broke. And desperate. Gasps. Phones lifted. A producer's breath caught behind the camera. Daniel felt it, the weight of 100 eyes pressing into him. But he didn't flinch. Because this wasn't the first time Lydia had tried to rewrite him in public. It was just the loudest. They hadn't started as enemies. Once, Daniel and Lydia had been partners in every sense of the word. They met years earlier in Accra, two ambitious minds crossing paths at a policy forum. Lydia was already rising fast, sharp, fearless, relentlessly visible. Daniel was quieter. Observant. He spoke less, listened more. Where Lydia chased stages, Daniel chased structure. She liked to win loudly. He preferred to win permanently. At first, the balance worked. She introduced him to rooms. He introduced her to leverage. But over time, Lydia grew impatient with his silence. You need to claim space, she'd say. You need people to see you. Daniel would smile and reply, they don't need to see me. She never understood that answer. To Lydia, visibility was power. To Daniel, power was ownership. The night it ended wasn't dramatic. No shouting. No tears. Just a statement. I can't build with someone who hides, Lydia said, packing her laptop into a leather case. Daniel nodded. Then don't. She paused at the door. When I make it without you, don't come asking. Daniel met her eyes. I won't. And he meant it. What Lydia didn't know, what she never bothered to ask, was what Daniel had been doing while she chased headlines. Now, years later, Lydia stood under lights again. And tonight, she said, raising her glass, I want everyone to see what happens when pretenders stop pretending. She gestured to security. Escort him out. A bit. The guards hesitated. Daniel finally spoke. May I finish my drink? Laughter erupted. Lydia smirked. You've had enough already. The guards moved. Daniel handed his glass to the man beside him and stepped forward, calm, composed. As he passed Lydia, she leaned in and whispered, just loud enough for the mic to catch. You don't belong in rooms like this. The words echoed through the speakers. The room froze. Daniel paused. Turned. And looked at her, not with anger, but with something worse. Clarity. He didn't argue. Didn't protest. He walked. Straight through the center aisle. Past investors. Past founders. Past the future Lydia thought she owned. The cameras followed him out. Within minutes, The clip was everywhere. Founder's ex exposed at tech gala. Public humiliation at Orex launch. Unemployed man removed after confrontation. Lydia watched the numbers climb from backstage. She felt victorious. What she didn't realize was that the same clip was being watched somewhere else. Somewhere quieter. 3 floors above the party, behind frosted glass and biometric locks, a different meeting was happening. No cameras. No applause. Just numbers. Daniel entered the room, jacket folded over his arm. No one stood. They didn't need to. The men and women seated around the table already knew who he was. Proceed, Daniel said calmly, taking the head seat. A screen lit up. Orex Systems, ownership structure. Layer after layer unfolded. Shell companies. Trust. Holding entities. All roads led to one place. Daniel Kolu. Majority beneficial owner. Voting control, 61%. The room remained silent. Status. Daniel asked. The CFO spoke. Public sentiment spike. Volatility incoming. Daniel nodded. Good. Media strategy, another asked. No response, Daniel replied. Let her talk. A pause. What about Lydia Cohn? Someone asked carefully. Daniel leaned back. She just walked into my boardroom, he said. She just doesn't know it yet. The next morning, Lydia woke to praise. Texts. Mentions. Invitations. She was trending. Her assistant burst into the room. You broke the internet. Lydia smiled, scrolling. Then her phone buzzed again. A different tone. Unknown number. Subject, emergency board meeting, Orex Systems. She frowned. She hadn't called for one. Still, she dressed quickly. Power waits for no one. Lydia arrived early. That alone unsettled her. The Orex executive boardroom was usually alive before she entered, assistants whispering, analysts adjusting screens, junior partners hovering for approval. Today, the room was silent. Too silent. Floor-to-ceiling glass reflected the city, but the blinds were half-drawn. The long walnut table sat perfectly arranged. No coffee cups. No tablets. No familiar clutter. Only folders. Black. Identical. Placed neatly at every seat. Including the head of the table. Her seat. Lydia slowed. This is odd, she muttered. Her assistant whispered, maybe compliance. Lydia waved her off and took her place. As she sat, the screens lit up on their own. No logo. No welcome slide. Just a single line of text. Special session, ownership review. Her jaw tightened. Ownership reviews weren't sudden. They were scheduled months in advance. They were procedural. They were never secret. Who called this? Lydia asked sharply. No one answered. The door opened. Daniel walked in. No announcement. No escort. Just him. Same calm. Same posture. Same expression she'd dismissed the night before. For a fraction of a second, Lydia thought she was hallucinating. Then anger surged. What is he doing here? She snapped, standing halfway. No one moved to stop him. No one spoke. Daniel walked to the head of the table. Her seat. He didn't sit yet. He simply placed his folder down and looked around. Let's begin, he said. The words landed heavy. Lydia laughed, sharp, incredulous. This is a closed executive session, she said. Security. Still no movement. The chairwoman, an older woman Lydia respected, folded her hands calmly. Sit down, Lydia. The tone wasn't hostile. It was final. Lydia slowly lowered herself into her chair, eyes never leaving Daniel. What is this? She demanded. Daniel finally sat. This, he said evenly, is the part where the noise stops working. Screens changed. A corporate flowchart appeared. Complex. Dense. Daniel nodded toward it. Orex Systems is not owned the way the public believes. Lydia scoffed. I founded this company. You founded the brand, Daniel replied. Not the structure. He clicked a remote. Boxes rearranged. Subsidiaries surfaced. Trust layered beneath. Holding companies stacked like shadows behind the visible entity. Each layer traced back, not to Lydia, but elsewhere. Lydia leaned forward. That's impossible, she said. Those entities are advisory vehicles. Daniel met her gaze. They are acquisition vehicles. The room remained still. Daniel didn't rush. He never rushed. 3 years ago, he said, Orex faced a liquidity gap. Expansion outpaced capital. You needed silent funding. Lydia's throat tightened. She remembered that quarter. The panic. The emergency calls. Daniel continued, you approved the temporary restructuring to protect valuation. She nodded stiffly. Standard practice. Yes, Daniel said. If you read the fine print. He clicked again. A clause enlarged on screen. Voting rights. Conversion triggers. Beneficial ownership. Lydia's breath caught. That clause only activates under hostile exposure, she said. Daniel tilted his head slightly. And what did you call last night? Silence. The room felt suddenly smaller. Daniel didn't accuse. He explained. Publicly declaring a senior stakeholder fraudulent, he said calmly, constitutes reputational destabilization. The legal counsel shifted in her seat. Daniel continued, the moment you labeled me a fraud on camera, you triggered the conversion. Lydia's voice dropped. Conversion into what? Daniel didn't answer. The screen did. Conversion complete, majority control transferred. Percentages recalculated in real time. 51%. 58%. 61%. The number stopped. Daniel exhaled slowly. I didn't take anything, he said. You handed it over. Lydia stood. This is a setup, she said, voice rising. You manipulated paperwork behind my back. Daniel nodded once. Correct? Gasps. He added, with your consent. She slammed her palm on the table. I would never. You signed, Daniel said, and slid a tablet across the table. Her signature glowed back at her. Date. Time. Witnesses. She remembered the night. She'd been rushing to a keynote. Barely skimmed the document. Trusted him. For the first time, fear crept into her eyes. The chairwoman finally spoke. Daniel Kolu is the controlling owner of Orex Systems, she said. Effective immediately. Lydia's mouth opened, but no words came out. Another board member added, your position as public face is under review. Another, your conduct has raised governance concerns. The room that once echoed with her authority now spoke about her. Daniel watched quietly. This wasn't revenge. This was rebalancing. As the meeting adjourned, Lydia stayed seated. Daniel stood. For a moment, they were alone at the table where everything had turned. You planned this, she said quietly. Daniel shook his head. I prepared, he replied. You performed. She looked up at him. Why didn't you stop me? Daniel considered the question. Because you wouldn't have listened, he said. You needed an audience. She swallowed. And now? Now, Daniel said, the audience watches something else. By evening, headlines change tone. Questions arise over Orex ownership. Founder's authority under review. Who really controls Orex Systems? The same clip of Lydia humiliating Daniel replayed, this time with commentary layered over it. Pauses. Freeze frames. Legal analysis. What once looked like dominance now looked like a mistake. Daniel remained silent. And silence, this time, was devastating. Lydia sat alone in her penthouse, phone buzzing non-stop. Board emails. Lawyers. Sponsors. She opened one message. From Daniel Kolu. Subject, tomorrow. Only one line inside. The boardroom recognizes ownership. The world will too. She stared at the city lights. For the first time in years, power had moved without her permission. And it wasn't done moving. Lydia did not sleep. By dawn, her penthouse felt unfamiliar, too large, too quiet, too honest. The walls that once echoed with confidence now reflected doubt back at her. Her phone buzzed again. She didn't look. Because she already knew. When power shifts, it doesn't announce itself politely. It spreads. By the time the sun rose over the city, the narrative had changed without asking her permission. Daniel stood in his apartment, tied perfectly straight, as the first alert appeared on his tablet. Confirmed, Orex systems controlled by private holding, founder's authority challenged. He exhaled. Not relief. Not satisfaction. Completion. The press had done what courts often take years to do, connect the dots once given permission. And Lydia had given them permission herself. Orex headquarters buzzed like a disturbed hive. Cameras lined the entrance. Reporters shouted questions at anyone in a suit. The company logo loomed above them all, still proud, still unaware that its meaning had changed. Inside, the boardroom was full again. But this time, Lydia was not at the head. Daniel was. The chairwoman cleared her throat. We'll proceed. Daniel nodded once. The doors opened. Flashbulbs erupted. Lydia entered. Not as CEO. Not as founder. As a subject. She walked to the podium with practiced grace, but something had changed in her posture. The ease was gone. The certainty fractured. Daniel remained seated behind her, hands folded. Silent. Waiting. The first reporter didn't ask about ownership. They asked about character. Ms. Lydia, do you regret the public incident involving Mr. Kolu? Her jaw tightened. It was an emotional moment, she said. I reacted. A second reporter interrupted. Or did you misjudge who you were humiliating? A murmur rippled through the room. Lydia glanced back. Daniel didn't meet her eyes. That hurt more than if he had. Daniel stood. The room fell quiet. I'd like to clarify something, he said calmly. The screens behind him lit up. Timelines. Contracts. Board approvals. I was never hidden, Daniel continued. I was simply silent. He turned to the reporters. When people assume silence equals weakness, they stop reading. They stop listening. A pause. That's when mistakes happen. The room felt heavy. Lydia felt exposed. Within hours, sponsors paused campaigns. Partners requested clarification. Orex's stock didn't crash. It hesitated. That hesitation was worse. Markets hate uncertainty more than bad news. And Lydia was now uncertainty. Daniel addressed the board privately. We stabilize, he said. We don't punish. We restructure. Someone asked, what about Lydia? Daniel didn't answer immediately. She's not the company, he said finally. She just believed she was. That night, Lydia released a statement. Carefully worded. Legally approved. But it didn't land. Comments flooded in. The same clip that once fueled applause now played beside annotations, slow-motion breakdowns, expert reactions. Her authority had been reframed. Not as power. As arrogance. She stared at the screen, realization sinking in. She hadn't lost to Daniel. She'd lost to her own certainty. Days later, Lydia requested a meeting. Daniel agreed. They met in the same boardroom where it had all changed. No cameras. No audience. Just truth. You used me, she said quietly. Daniel shook his head. You underestimated me. That's the same thing. No, he replied. One is intention. The other is choice. She swallowed. Was any of it real, she asked. The partnership. Daniel looked at her. It was, he said. Until you needed someone beneath you. Silence stretched. I don't hate you, he added. But I won't protect you from consequences. She nodded slowly. For the first time, she understood. Weeks passed. Orex stabilized under new leadership. Daniel remained mostly unseen, no interviews, no viral moments. That was the irony. The man she tried to destroy became powerful because he didn't need the spotlight. Lydia stepped down officially. The announcement was brief. No scandal. No apology tour. Just an ending. Daniel stood alone in the boardroom one evening, city lights glowing beyond the glass. He placed Lydia's old nameplate into a drawer. Closed it. Power didn't roar. It settled. And the world moved on, slightly wiser, slightly quieter.